Okay. All right, it's starting. The intro, I haven't fixed the intro, so I'm just going to run the old intro, that funny intro that doesn't mean anything.
Sure.
Audio Jungle.
How's it, Internet? And welcome back to Two Guys in SharePoint.
I need to read. I need a prompter. The only SharePoint show in South Africa where everything is not made up and there are no points. Oh.
And one day we'll have a real intro, maybe. We'll see.
So, episode 73, are intranets still valid in 2024? Just some housekeeping. If you are new to the show, we talk about all things Microsoft 365 with a quiet love, a distant memory of love for SharePoint. Hence the name, right? It's in the name. We promise to make sure that you get to take away at least one thing that we think is pretty cool in every show. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Yeah, welcome. Thanks for hanging out with us. Alistair.
Notice I'm wearing Velo.
Yeah, very cool. Very apt for our topic today. I like it. Okay. That's a cool one. Yeah, I'm in a black.
It old school.
I'm wearing black. Shocker.
It's like you are the Henry T. Ford of clothing, dude. I don't think I've seen you in anything but black.
So I
Puma
haven't
sneakers?
worn, they're black. Yeah, my shoes are black.
Okay.
Okay. They say, your kids will grow out of that goth phase. I never did. So we're stuck with it.
Oh, okay. So
shall we get right into the swing of things?
How's this? Is there an audio delay from me talking to you? Actually, we use StreamYard for this recording, so it is weird. And as we go along, because now we've added video, we will have these uncomfortable pauses so that we can edit in post. And I apologize to the viewers, are still getting used to not talk over each other in video, because there is a sort of 200 millisecond delay. So by episode 80, we'll get this all handled. So we've got a couple of segments for those that have never been here. We've got In the News. We then hit our deep dive topic, which this week is going to be about Intranets still valid. We then do another segment called Noteworthy Things. And the last segment of the show is Rod's go with the show or with the flow. It's still the flow, right?
That's the coolest one. It's the fan favorite. And until somebody somebody in the comments tells me it's not, I'm just going to assume it is. So we're going to roll with that.
Okay, so we're about to kick off In the News with a new In the News intro.
That is so cool, man. I've not seen this before, and it is, I'm here for this. It is awesome.
Live reactions. All right,
yeah, man.
Blue is you and green is me, right? Okay.
Yes.
Now let's jump over straight into the first bit of news that we want to talk about. And this is news since the last time we recorded a show.
Yeah.
So it's not news from December. This is over the last 2 weeks. And I think it's important for people to note the rate of change from Microsoft. And tomorrow's user group, where we're doing a recap of 2023, Madeline, you're going to be super surprised with the amount of releases for various products over a 12-month period. I went to go check. Right?
It's a lot.
Wow.
It's a lot. And this one specifically, I was bitching about it last week. We were both bitching about it last episode.
So Microsoft, well, I've got some comments on the Teams update that you've got later, because that excited me. That changed my life.
Yeah.
This week, it was last week, Microsoft has removed the 300-seat headcount that you need to use Copilot in your organization. They've also launched
Yay!
Yes, we are very excited. I don't know if it's on this page, but there is a page that actually shows the different Copilots that you can now license. There's the free one, which you get with Windows, or I think it's Office 365 Personal or something like that. There is also Copilot Pro, which is, and I wish I had that slide up. That's $20 per user per month, and it's for any
It's
SKU.
still quite expensive.
So, yeah. We were actually talking about it today. If it takes me 4 hours to put together a presentation, and I use PowerPoint Copilot and it does it for me in an hour, I'm saying saving 3 hours, right? So there is some value in using this. And then, yes, the original Copilot, the M365 Copilot is still there. It's still $30 a user, but you can buy one. I mean, that's super cool. That is super
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it opens the way to make this stuff actually useful, right? As you say, right, like in individual cases, it can save a hell of a lot of time and add a hell of a lot of value. The problem was when you had to buy 300 of them, like to get that much value out of it is really difficult. If you're buying now like 5, it's a lot easier.
It was a $10,000 a month expense. Paid.
For us here in South Africa, that is significant. Like, that's a lot.
Paid upfront for a year.
But that's
for
not the
a
case
year.
anymore.
$120,000. That's a lot of that's a lot of rands, a lot of rand.
Yeah.
Anyhow, you've got something you want to talk to us about?
Yeah, you can now migrate your Google Forms to Microsoft Forms. This is via the 365 Admin Center. So if you are somehow stuck in the Google modern work ecosystem, I'm very sorry, but you can start moving that stuff out now. Microsoft Forms is great. It's a great engine for what it does, right? And they haven't Teamsified it yet. So it's still really
funnily enough,
it does what it does. It's pretty cool.
Funnily enough, I've got a mate of mine who's moved to the US and he works for an NGO. And about a year ago, he was moving that NGO from Google Workspace to Microsoft 365. And they've just merged with another NGO, exactly the same story. So I'm quite excited about this because I can go back to him and say, hey, not only can you do mailboxes and the other things, you can also now move Google Forms. So it might seem insignificant to us, but I do think that there's a ton of customers running on the GCP Google Workspace platform. And if they're
like
using Forms...
that Forms functionality is like actually quite a core piece of functionality, right? That's how you get external people to talk to your business in a lot of ways, right? So it's very handy to be able to get that into the same ecosystem as everything else. Super cool.
There was also, I saw it today somewhere, where you can now export form data directly to Excel. Directly to Excel. There was a post today somewhere on the Twitterverse.
You should be running a flow to push that into somewhere real rather than Excel. But at its most basic, exporting it to Excel is fine. Sure. Excel is not a database, Alistair.
Oh, that
I don't care if you can use Python in it now. It is not a database.
What did you say? Something more?
What? Excel is not a database.
No, not that, man. You said something.
You should be running a flow to move your data to somewhere more professional. Something more professional than Excel. It's not hard. Like there are a ton of options and they're all better than Excel, right? About the only downgrade would be if you put it in Access. That is probably worse. Other than that, you're
Access has
upgrading.
got a forms engine, dude. Access has got a forms engine, so I rate Access better than company I'm saying this Excel.
Do not let any of my clients hear you talking about Access like it's a real thing. Please, God. Let's move on. Right. But yes, move your stuff out of Google Forms into Microsoft Forms. It's cool.
And because Copilot is all the rage right now, Microsoft now also has, for those who don't know what solution assessments are, Microsoft offers funded by Microsoft. In the old days, you could get a partner to do this. Currently, it's actually run by Microsoft, and they've whittled it down to a handful of assessments. Microsoft will run this assessment inside of your organization if you qualify for this and produce the necessary results. So you can actually head, and all these links will be available in the description in the video in YouTube. So you'll be able to click through all of this because, value add. You'll notice now that they've got a Copilot for Microsoft 365 assessment. And as you as an organization or your partner, you can actually hit the request button, and it will actually pop up a screen that says, are you a Microsoft partner or a customer requesting it? So it is self-service, or the Microsoft partner will request it on your behalf, and you can actually get started with Copilot for Microsoft 365. I don't have the page up right now, but there is it in the show notes? I don't think I added it in the show notes. There's actually an entire adoption center for Copilot. Maybe I can bring it up. So, getting started with Copilot, what you need from an adoption perspective. I'm not going to bring it up now, but it is definitely there, and you can actually head over to just Google Adoption Center for Microsoft Copilot, and it will show you the website, and all the information you need about Copilot would be there, including how you actually take on the product inside of your organization.
Yeah, these sorts of assessments are handy, right? They can, if your business has been like running some pilots, or you're looking to get into it and whatever, these assessments can really help you nail down how much you can get out of it, what your expected ROI is, how you're doing so far in your rollout, that sort of thing. And yeah, it can be very, very useful before you find yourself like 3 years down the line and maybe you've been going in the wrong direction.
Ooh, yes, that's a long time. Moving on, Rod.
Moving on, Teams meetings have got a bunch of new stuff, which is very, very cool. Some stuff I think is relevant because like they've got a whole bunch of stuff, some more relevant than others. I think the big ones for me is you can get more control over your video when you're in a Teams call and it pops up your video. You can say, I don't want to see it at all, or like show me at the top or whatever, so it's less distracting. I think that's really cool. There's a bunch more, I'm not going to go through all of it, but there's a bunch more control over what your grid looks like and the size of it. If you've got a meeting room in the meeting with a bunch of people in it, like that picture right there that also helpfully put up there, you can get a lot more screen real estate for that bit, which is super helpful. Super helpful. That's great. They've put in a light theme for reasons, I guess. It's horrifying. I don't know why you'd want a light theme. It makes me sick to my stomach. What, Alistair?
Pick me. There's no hands up thing in StreamYard.
Yeah.
For people like me that struggle, I have a focus defocus problem with my eyes, right? And that's purely because I sit in front of a screen all the time, and then when I switch the TV on, it's blurry, right? So my eye, it doesn't defocus. It's called focus pulling on a camera, right? It doesn't focus pull.
Sure.
Now, reading, everything's in dark mode. My phone's in dark mode. Reading white text on a black background gets increasingly more difficult as the light around me at night I struggle with. So light mode, for those that have, I don't run anything in light mode anymore, but I can see the benefit of having Teams in light mode so that you can actually read the white text on black text on a white background is easier to read than white text on a black background.
That's savage, bro. That's so savage.
The most important announcement.
Before you get to your most important announcement, they've also simplified the join meeting email. So you used to get an email with like a bunch of different stuff and all of that. They've simplified it a lot, so people will get a link and they click it and it goes. Like it's a lot more user friendly than it was. They're also bringing out shortened URLs for those, which would again make that easier. Oh, scroll past that, please. Yeah, there we go. Right, so there was the previous one, and then here's the new one. Way cleaner, way less to get in the way less to confuse people. So if you are inviting external people into your Teams meetings and they need a link to join, like it's just join and they click and it works. It's I like it.
Well, they're just copying Zoom right now. Right? Yeah, that's all they're doing. Zoom always had the link. You didn't have to be running Teams or anything. Click the button and it should ask you go in there. There's always been that button in Outlook that says join Teams meeting. You don't even have to look at the body. It's the button. So,
and that's good. And they've simplified the interface all over the place to let you do that, which is great.
Lots of.
And you had your most important one.
So what you'll notice with all of these screens, there's a ton of screens around what this experience is going to be like. Notice the little thing over there. If I can zoom in, it is just heavenly. Will it zoom more? No, it doesn't do that. This little thing over here, right? Is that a zoom? Can I bring it up bigger? I can't make it bigger. Hold on, let's see. Yes, there we go.
There we go.
What's missing? What is missing?
Fit to frame.
Come on. Yes, fit to frame is no longer. It's no longer a thing. You got 9 people and you click fit to frame every single time. If you look at my background right now, it's shrunk, right? So you don't get a full 16:9 view. And then when we go back to our original view, you will see that, right? So if I do that, notice my background. But if I go back there, it crops to like a 4:3. No longer fit to frame. I've been screaming about this for more than a year and it's gone. Thank you, Microsoft. Thank you. Everything is different in my life. Okay, how do we get out of this word? Is that the escape key? Oh, there we go. All right.
Troubleshooting live.
Troubleshooting live. I'm getting old. But is that our news for the week, Madeline?
That's news. We got through it in like 15 minutes. Good for us.
Yeah.
I fucking love it, man. That's so cool. Yeah. So happy.
Just going to keep building on that. Our next segment, Madeline, what is our next segment? It's the deep dive.
Our next segment is the deep dive. Yeah.
What are we talking about this week?
This week, we're talking about intranets, right?
Okay, all right.
We love SharePoint. Roll the clip. Can I say roll the clip? Now that was hyper stylish. I like that. We're getting all Minority Report up in here. That's awesome.
I'm going to be updating these things all the time, dude.
I look forward to seeing them live on the podcast every time. That's great. But like in 2 years, the show's going to be like 5 minutes of us talking and the rest just like awesome animation. I'm here for it.
I can't remember how we decided on this week's topic. I actually don't remember how we stumbled onto to Are Intranets Still Valid 2024? And I'm sure I wrote a post like 2018, and I'll find it somewhere on Medium around, Are Intranets Still Valid? And funnily
people have
enough,
been asking that question for 20 years, right? Since intranets have been a thing, people have been asking about it. Like, are they relevant or not?
I found this post from the 3rd of Feb, 1999, and this is a local online publication called IT Web in South Africa, and even then, and notice they're saying that after at least 2 or 3 years in the popular vocabulary, right? So we're talking 90s, dude, 90s. This is 25 years ago, quarter of a century ago, the concept of intranets became real. And yet in 2024, we are still talking about whether or not these things actually matter. And funnily enough, and no, we did not steal Mark Cashman's idea, because I saw, was it today, this morning, this afternoon, that the Intrazone, which is a podcast run by Microsoft and headed up by Mark Cashman and Chris McNulty and a few others, they've actually got the queen of intranets, Sue Handley, on this week's show. So after you watch us, you can go watch this, right? Not the other way around. This is not where you drop off and go listen to them talking about intranets. I haven't listened to it. I'm only going to listen to it after. So there's no stealing of coolness or anything from Sue or from Cashman around that. But this is just weird that there's some mind melding going on, some Vulcan shit going on, where we've literally got the same topic that we're discussing in this episode. So,
it's obviously in the zeitgeist at the moment, right? It's like it's bubbling up in the human unconscious, and we're just tapping into that.
Well, notice, check. I've got it.
That's a very cool. It's Enterprise C, I want to say. Hey, I'm going to have my nerd card reversed.
That's the NCC, I think it's a 1701. I've got a model of it as well. So it's the actual Starship Enterprise. But so Modlin, let's play 20 questions. What is an intranet? In your mind, working in this space for pretty much 20 years now, what is your definition of an intranet?
So my definition of an intranet, right, is it's pretty broad. So it's a internal facing website of some description for a business where employees of their business can go on and collect the relevant information, whether that's policies and procedures or documents or links, like whatever it is, right? It's a single portal where they can go to and get the information they need. That's what an intranet should be, I think. How about you, Al? What's your definition?
It's publicly available information to the organization, right? I mean, in the old days, that has always been the delineation. So if you look at someone like Tracy van der Schaaf, who builds the most amazing intranets, it's always been a debate. We come from a knowledge management background. She hasn't spent time in that, and we talk about a DMS, and she says, well, it can't be as part of the intranet because the intranet is free to everyone inside of the organization. And that information is not behind some sort of gated wall that you require permissions to see. So an intranet is literally all the company's information, standard operating procedures, HR policies, everything that's available to everyone inside of the organization should be put on an intranet. News, events, Amran Engineering's birthday calendar.
Wow, that's a blast from the past. All of that. I think, though, it also does include information about everything else, right? So you're saying like the DMS, the document management system. Our industry has too many TLAs. But like the document management system, right? So that's not available. Not all of that information is available to everybody in the business. But if they go to the internet, they'll find where to go to get the pieces that they do have access to. Right.
Quick links, right? Links to other ancillary services.
Links to other things. Links to your payment portal, links to your whatever, right? Your timesheet system, right? Like that's not for like that's not everybody's accessing all of that information. But where am I going to go to find out where to do all this stuff? I'm going to go to the internet first. Is my concept of it. Yeah.
So in the last 25 years, right? Because now we have a
Yeah.
timeline for when the word intranet was created, right? So 27 years ago. We've seen a lot of advancements, right? We've seen DMSs and WCMs and all these web content management, document management systems, electronic document and records, and all the other word acronyms come together. And companies like OpenText calls it enterprise information management. Microsoft launched a white paper in 2006 around the evolution of ECM. We've heard terms from Gartner and AIM saying that
now, right?
Well, it's content services, right?
Let's move from the TLAs to actually saying it. So if somebody's following along and doesn't know it, they can pick it up. So there's a whole concept of moving away from enterprise content management to content services and what that means. But in the context of intranets, I don't think any of that matters, right?
Doesn't.
So
you're right, it doesn't matter.
Your DMS system, whether it's document management or content services or whatever it is, doesn't really have a bearing on what your intranet is, right? Your intranet will point to whatever that thing is, but it's a different thing. I think how intranets have evolved, their popularity sort of goes up and down, right? Because what it is its core is theoretically quite a simple thing, right? It's a bunch of pages and links, essentially, it is what it is. And there's only so many ways you could do that. And it's not sexy to talk about that. We want to talk about but now there's all this chat-based collaboration and like co-authoring and GPT-fi everything. But an intranet is not those things. An intranet can point to those things and maybe take advantage of some of that stuff. But the intranet itself, I don't know I don't know that those have had a massive change on the internet. I think what's changed is they're a lot easier for regular users to deal with and to maintain, right? Back when we were building intranets in MOS, right, WSS, you did not give the responsibility for updating the intranet to regular business users. Like you couldn't really. It was a lot of mental load to pick up the system. SharePoint Online now, on the other hand, it's way easier. You can make really good looking content, pages, news articles, all the stuff that makes up an intranet. You can generate really good looking versions of those, really modern looking versions of those, much easier.
Well, that's what they're calling it now, the modern intranet, right? So nobody talks about just an intranet. They've prefixed intranet with the word modern, and that sort of changed the vernacular of everything. Right? So how has it evolved? We've talked about this company information portal, right? That's what I'm calling an intranet, right? Because intranet, extranet, internet, that's just a smorgasbord of words, and it never really sat well. So this company information portal is pretty much where it's at, right? Access to information about your company. And then, how has it evolved over the last 20 years? And actually 20 years is a bad, probably the last seven years, because Teams has been, Teams is that old, 7 years old, right?
Something like that.
And I do think that,
different thing though, right? I think it's a good idea to surface your intranet inside of Teams, but they accomplish very different things, right? You're using Teams for collaboration and content management, right? That's not what your intranet is for. Your intranet will point you to Teams, and hopefully your Teams will point you to the intranet, right? But they are distinctly different things. In my view, an intranet is a very one-way communication stream, right? It's the organization speaking to the employees. That's what the intranet does. it can take advantage of a bunch of other mechanisms to do other stuff, right? Like you can use a bunch of, excuse me, I hope you edit that out.
I'm not going to.
Yeah, it's much easier when I had the editing stick. I think when you're conceptualizing an intranet and what you wanted to do and all of that, I think you can make use of the other tools to cover the bits and pieces that the intranet doesn't quite do, right? So getting the feedback from from the employees to the organization, allowing the people in a business to talk together and collaborate together around content or just have a discussion or whatever. I think those tools are all very valuable, and they're important in the larger content management, information management, communication and collaboration landscape in a business. But I don't think that's an intranet, right?
No, you are right, and I think we've kind of ring fences and said it's a company information portal, and that's what it is. Now, for me, when I look at the evolution of the internet, I don't think anything has evolved, right? The internet is still exactly what it is and what it was and what it will be since 1997, whenever they launched it. I do think that the tools that we currently use to access the intranet has changed somewhat, right? And also they've added all the other parts to your information management portal, right? Or the way you access information, right? They've changed a lot of those things. And, you know, the advent of enterprise social, and I remember, I think the first two guys in SharePoint episode we recorded when you couldn't Skype in on that day when it was Ignite 2017, and we couldn't get the Skype thing working. We actually talked about chat-based information management, right? And that's where all of this stuff started. Chat-based information management doesn't exist as a concept. It came into my head, and I used the term, and we recorded a show with Heather Newman and Trevor Hallebuck from Metalogics talking about this chat. It never caught on, right? So I didn't start a trend. But when we look at the internet,
a very good. No, carry on.
When we look at the intranet, it's there, and there's a whole bunch of things around it that are complementary. And a lot of times people confuse what the intranet is, and then they try to replace it with products that is not for intranet purposes, right? And that's the tricky part, because there are complementary products like Viva Engage, also the artist formerly known as Yammer. There's the whole enterprise social thing behind that. But SharePoint as a platform for building intranets, in my opinion, is still massively relevant with all the advancements that we've seen over the last 4 years, just specifically in the SharePoint space, not the DMS stuff, but, you know, real-time co-authoring for pages, all the coolness that from a look and feel, the UX of SharePoint has gone through multiple phases of evolution, right? Modern is now the de facto standard.
It's so good. It looks so much better. It works so much better. And I think that's a good point. Maybe the evolution of the intranet as we knew it, right, is not so much that what an intranet is and how you build it has changed. It's just that all the other stuff that you used to have to try do in an intranet, you don't have to try do that in an intranet anymore. So the intranet can be an intranet and be really useful and really targeted and do exactly what it needs to do very well. And then all the other stuff that we used to build into SharePoint intranets, right? SharePoint workflow, info path, like all the business processes and community forums and stuff we used to try shoehorn into the intranet bucket, right, are now just much better served by these supporting products, right? These connected products, because they're not necessarily supporting the internet. All of these things work together to support the organization, right? So
yes.
I think the evolution of the intranet is a distillation into what it really does well. And just getting that right is still hard enough, right? just getting an
Yeah.
intranet right is difficult enough in itself.
Well, if you are going to start building your intranet or you're migrating from Google, because that's the current migration topic that we have, there are companies like
They don't have an
Intranet.ai.
Hmm.
There are companies out there that will actually help you, and I'll make sure that this link is in the description down below when watching this so that you can actually have a view. And I mean, it's pretty cool, right? That they talk about what an intranet is, some things that how it's glued together, and then also some ideas on, you know, what to use an intranet for. So you don't have to listen to us, you know, extrapolate about what we feel an intranet is. There are companies online that will provide you with free resources like this, right? In how to build your intranet, what the purpose of it is for. We're not going to write a 2,000-page article on this. I mean, Rod only talks about Power Platform, right? You've seen his videos. Shameless plug. I actually need the link to your YouTube channel. I can put it as a banner and we can just show it at the bottom. So head on down to the description down below and have a look at, there's a whole bunch of things that we'll post there, right? You know, future of intranets, and this was trends that they launched in 2023. I think they're still valid. Unily, which used to be, I think it was Brightstar. I can't remember the platform that Unily bought over. They were big internet in a box people inside of SharePoint, super expensive in the old days. Valor's still around. I think they're part of Staffbase now. But we'll add all these links, including the What Would Sue Do episode of the Intro Zone by Microsoft 365, so that you can actually have a look and make a decision based on the information available to you through the show. So you find it right here when deciding, are intranets still valid in 2024?
Yeah, and I think they really are. I don't think that need has gone away. I think how you conceptualize it has maybe changed a little bit, but the need is definitely still there.
So moving on to the next segment, because we're all burning daylight, it's Noteworthy Things. I don't have a video for this, Maudlin. I haven't I ran out of time to actually add a video, an intro video, but be sure to check out our next episode where I will have an intro video for Noteworthy Things. And I've only got two this week. One
okay.
is
so I get one go with the flow, but you can have.
But yours is much longer. You give explainer type things that's going to happen there. So getting started with Viva Amplify, for those who don't know what Viva Amplify is, I'm very excited about it. It's part of the Viva suite, but it's for campaign management. So you can use Viva Amplify to build campaigns from a marketing or sales and marketing or internal communications. You can actually build entire campaigns with templates that you can then publish to various streams. You're either going to publish it to Teams, you can publish it to Viva Engage, which they've now enabled, and you also publish it to SharePoint. So, and also that then gets consumed as a digest via email. So think about your audience profile. Some people use the browser to hit SharePoint, other people live in Teams, other people live in Engage, and other people live in Mail. And we will not talk about the new Outlook client because, like Lawrence Strand, Rod hates it. Just a disclaimer, we will never talk. Well, actually, no. In next episode, we are actually going to be talking about the new Outlook client, and it's going to be fun.
In part, yes, in part.
So go have a look at Viva Amplify and also check out what you can do with that. And there is a live stream. This is an old one. This is an old article, but go have a look at Viva Amplify. The next thing I wanted to talk about, which I kind of knew about it, but I stumbled onto this, that there's an entire admin digest from Microsoft for Microsoft 365 admins, where you can get all the new information around what's actually going on from an administrative perspective in Microsoft 365. They have calls. Is there a call here? There, ask me in it. No, that's just a thing. They hijack, Copilot hijacks everything. This is actually about Microsoft 365 admin stuff, your monthly IT admin blog for all things. And then they hijack the first thing you see is Copilot. But there's an actual resource on Tech Community. It will be in the description down below. It's cool saying that. It's in the description down below, where you can actually go have a look at the new admin stuff. Yeah, pretty cool. I'll eventually have a pop-up when it comes up, right? Like YouTube.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'm still figuring all of that out. But head over across to the link, and it's a great resource for M365 admins who want to keep up to date outside of listening to Daryl Webster and Daniel Glenn talk about the Admin Center. Another show that is available to you on YouTube. We're doing a shameless punt for their show because I expect them to do a shameless punt for our show. It's just quick pro quo.
It is very helpful. That show has a lot of great content. I think ours is more fun. Just saying.
I'm going to have to edit that out. All right. Moving on into the last segment of the show. And drum roll, please.
What was that? Okay. I'm a serial killer or something, apparently. I'm just here to tell you to go with the flow.
Your flows are sometimes dangerous, right?
Yeah, totally. Spitting sick bars. So yeah, this is the segment where I get to share something Power Platform related, and Al can have a nap. My thing for this episode is a PSA. Please don't, when you're making a Canvas Power App off of a SharePoint list as your data source, don't use choice columns, don't use content types. It's not good. It sucks. But if you have to, is that the world's smallest violin? Yeah, thank you. But if you have to use choice columns and you have to use content types, you can default them in your Power App, right? So there's a function in Power Apps called choices, which will give you the list of choices for a specific data point that you're asking. So if you have, you put in a form, for instance, I don't know why you're using a form, but if you do, you can go to whatever column, whatever control has your drop-down list, and in the items, it'll give you what that looks like. It'll be choices, and it'll have at the name of your list, and then dot whatever the column name is. And you can look up against that. So you can do a lookup, use the choices function, and put that in, and then you can filter that down to default it. So that's my go with the flow. Don't do it, but if you have to, make use of the choices function.
Question, because I have the show notes up, right? In your show notes, you say all content types when building your apps. So are you saying that people shouldn't be using content types?
In SharePoint lists, when you're using that list as the basis of your Power App, no, I don't think you should. I think you should be treating your SharePoint lists as tables, right? So each table has its own purpose, right? You're not storing 5 different things in the same table. You have 5 different tables. It makes it so much easier for everybody. And if something goes wrong, it's way easier to untangle, and it's way easier to troubleshoot. It's a lot easier to deal with.
So full circle moment right now.
Yeah.
Something more professional than Excel, because you slated Excel. And then you said use SharePoint as tables, right? Lists should be seen as tables.
No. I say if you are using SharePoint Online, maybe this is a deep dive. If you are using SharePoint Online as your data source for a Canvas app, right? You're using SharePoint lists. Cool. You can do that. It's free, right? With your subscription. Cool. If you want real proper power, use a real data source. Use SQL. If you're not using that and you're using SharePoint, there are some considerations that go into the configuration of those SharePoint lists, and one of them is just make a different list. You don't need the content types. It makes it so much more difficult to deal with. And if I'm wrong, tell me in the comments, please. Tell me in the comments. So that is my go with the flow, which L refuses to do. He wants to swim upstream.
I'm just going to leave. And on that bombshell, I'm going to leave that little nugget on the screen right now.
Cool. You can work around.
All right, is that a wrap?
That's a wrap. Get into the sign off.
Am I the green guy, right? Yes,
Yes.
I'm the green guy. Yeah. Thanks everyone for watching. He's still getting used to this. Thanks everyone for watching. If you are enjoying the show and want us to help keep going, not that we're monetizing this, we just, give us that dopamine hit. Please hit the subscribe button, like, subscribe, and smash that notification bell so that you will get notified when there's a new episode. For those that are listening to the audio only part of this, you know what to do. You'll find it in Apple Podcasts or Spotify and soon to be YouTube Podcasts. Modlin, I can hit the button that is published.
Cool. Yeah. You can give us a podcast of choice. You can give us a 5-star review in any of those podcasts at the choice. As Al says, we're not monetizing this. We live off the dopamine hit from watching the numbers go up. So hit the like button, please. And you can always just bully a friend until they give us a listen, right? I think they'll dig it if they do. So
just hit the button.
This is the only time when bullying is acceptable. Otherwise, if you want to find us online, find the other stuff we do online. We're all over the place. You can find the podcast website, 2 Guys, and SharePoint.co.za. That's with the number 2. Similarly, with the number 2, at 2 Guys SharePoint on Twitter. I'm on Twitter at OddModlin. Alistair is?
At Alistair Pugent. It's in the little thing there. What is that? It looks like that's a weird @ sign, Modlin, next to our Twitter X handles, right? I thought
that it's the same one as yours.
Odd. You see, that's an @ sign.
Right? Yeah.
Not this thing that looks
that
like an
one's
umbrella,
a bit like,
right?
Yeah, it looks like it's been sat on or something.
Anyhow, is that a wrap? Are we done?
Before we go even more off the rails, thank you all very much for listening. That's all for us. We'll be back again in 2 weeks. So don't forget to be awesome, and ciao.
Ciao. It works. Even instant. What?
Going off, bro.
Works. It's the Mac camera app, man. And if I do this, hold on, will it do something? No, it'll do this one. Here we go. And it works. Okay. All right, cheers.